Hi, I'm Rob from robnutphoto.com. I keep forgetting where I'm from, don't I? I've done enough of these videos now. And today, I'm going to be talking about numbers on the front of your lenses. Now, I got asked the question a few months ago, actually, about somebody who said, what's all these numbers on the front of my lenses? In fact, if we go to the close-up cam, you should be able to see that's a 50-1.8 Mark 1. It's got some numbers on it. And then this is a Fujica old film camera. I use the film camera because it's a lot easier to kind of to demonstrate things. You know, what do these numbers mean? I know the fact that we've got our apertures on our aperture ring. I know I've got distances on my focus ring. But what are these other numbers? These aperture-like numbers that don't move. They're kind of fixed. Well, they're to do with hyperfocal distance, or, before you turn the video off, the amount of the photograph that is in focus behind and in front of the subject you're actually focusing on. So let me kind of paint a picture for you. So you're out and about with your camera, and there's a nice landscape in front of you, and there's this nice looking tree in front, and these nice mountains in the background. You're thinking, "Oh, this makes a nice landscape." This, I tell you what, I want that tree and those mountains. I want them both to be in focus. The question is, where do you focus? Do you focus on the tree, or do you focus on the mountains in the background? Because imagine what might happen is you focus on the tree, take the picture, tree looks beautiful. Oh, beautiful tree. Background out of focus, and that's not what you wanted. Or you could be in exactly the same situation. Say you're doing a portrait shot with somebody, but with it around the other way. So you've got a person and beautiful model. But unfortunately, there's all this power lines and things behind them, and you think, a nice subject, want them in focus, don't really want to see what's in the background, want that nice and blurred. You go to take a picture, oh yeah, model looks great. You can still see the power lines, no good. So in that case, you don't want everything in focus, you only want a little bit in focus. So to start off with, then, let's go back to the first example. So a landscape where you want everything in focus, that's where these numbers come in handy. However, for those of you out there who don't have numbers on your lenses, or like me, most of your lenses don't have numbers on because they're EF automatic lenses, this is the rule of thumb. When you're using a wide-angle lens, because this only really works for wide-angle lens, like your kit lens 18-55, or say when you're on a film camera or a full-frame digital body, we're talking about something around about 28mm on your crop sensor body, like a 600D or a Rebel, that sort of thing, you're probably looking at about 18mm. When you're at wide angle, if you choose a fairly tight aperture, something like an f8, f11 or f16, if you focus about a third of the way into the scene, chances are most of everything else will be in focus. It will be in focus to infinity, so those mountains in the distance and that tree that's several meters away or closer will still be in focus too. So that's how you can do that. However, if you've got lenses with numbers on, you can take all the guesswork out of it. If we go to the close-up camera, I'll show you how it works. So on this lens, what you can see is at the bottom, that ring I'm moving at the moment, that's the aperture. They're the f-stops. So we've got f2.8 on the right, which means that the aperture is really big, letting in lots of light, but has a very narrow depth of field. Go to f22. So this is where the aperture is very small and has a large depth of field. And then at the top, this is the focusing ring. So as I turn that, I'm focused at something very close, about 1/4 meter away, to something about a foot away, to something, I don't know, here we go, 2 feet away, 0.6 meters, right through to infinity. So that's the distance. And then what these numbers mean underneath here is they tell me how far in front and behind of the subject will be in focus at different apertures. So let's say we were shooting, for some reason, at f2.8, okay? And I focused on something, in fact, let's choose f4. We were focusing on something 2 feet away. So you can see that? So I'm at 2 feet, I think. I'm at 2 feet or 0.6 meter. You might just be able to see that. And I know that because it's lined up with that little red line. So what I do now is if I look at these numbers, if I'm at f4, okay, my picture will be in focus sort of probably about 1.8 meters away. And if we look at the other side, probably about 2.5. So as you can see, the depth of field is very, very small. Now, if I want tightened it up to say f16, and I was still focused on something about 2 feet away, I would actually be in focus from about 1.3 feet away, 1.5 feet away, through to about 4 meters away. So again, we've got a bigger depth of field. Now what you'll notice is this: as we start to focus on things further away, the distances increase. So let's say I was shooting at f16, but I focused on something 4 feet away. So that's not very far, is it? 4 feet, about 1.3 meters. If we have a look at that, so I'm at f16. I'm focused on something about 4 feet away, about 1.3 meters. At f16, you see the little figure of 8 sign? That means at f16, even if I'm focused on something 4 meters away, I'm probably going to be virtually in focus all the way through to the horizon, to infinity. Then if we look at the other way, even though I'm only focused on something 4 feet away, I'm actually anything 2 feet away will still be in focus as well, which is nothing, is it? That's nothing at all. So let's say our tree, in that initial example, let's say it was 6 feet away. So we've got this scene in front of us. Back to the main camera. We've got this scene in front of us where we've got the mountains and we've got this tree, or a rock. Here you go, a nice rock. People like to have rocks in landscape pictures, don't we? And that rock is only 6 feet away, or about 2 meters, which is not very far at all, is it? You know, you imagine those pictures. You see this in magazines all the time. It's on a beach, all right? There's wet sand and there's rocks on the beach, all right? And then you can see the sea far away, and there's normally some sort of coast or something going on in the distance. We know, using these numbers on our lens, back to the close-up lens, we know that if we're just focused on those rocks that are a mere 6 feet away, at f16, we're going to be in focus from 2.5 feet away, so about 0.8 of a metre, so nothing, hardly anything at all the way through to infinity. So just by shooting at f16 and focusing on something just 6 feet away or 2 metres away, we're going to be focused all the way through to infinity. So back to the main camera. Yeah, fantastic. How easy is that? How useful is that as well? And it kind of works the other way as well. So let's say you wanted a very, very small depth of field. So we go back to the close-up camera. Say we're shooting at f2.8. We know that if we only want, or say f4, because you can see it better on the lens, we know that if we keep our subject fairly close, say 2.5 meters away, at f4 it's only going to be in focus slightly before and slightly after, so we know we're going to get a blurred background. Now, you probably wouldn't be shooting a person with a 28mm lens, or like an 18, or your kit zoom at 80mm, because it's not very flattering. But as you can see, by using the numbers, they're very, very useful in working out distances, and we call them hyperfocal distances, to figure out what is in focus, what is in front and behind in your landscape shots. Now, not many automatic lenses have it, but if I quickly show you this 50mm 1.8, you can see it's exactly the same. It's a slightly different layout, because there's the hyperfocal distances just there, the ones that don't move, and then we've got our distances are there, 1.5 meters, 5 feet, 8 feet, etc. And obviously the aperture, you would have to look on the back of your camera or the top of your camera to see what aperture you were at to work out how much of the scene is in focus. So there we go. That's why your lenses have numbers on, because it helps you to work out how much of the scene is in focus, in front and behind just subject. My name's Rob from roblandphoto.com. If you like the videos, please subscribe, put comments down below, email me scalespeed@gmail.com, and thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.